The tensions in Gaza have reached a moment of cautious hope. After weeks of destruction, the world watches as ceasefire talks inch forward. Momentum is building. But there is a crucial condition voiced by many: Israel must stop bombing first. Without that, any deal risks being hollow. The context is brutal. Gaza remains under unrelenting fire. Homes, hospitals, schools, and infrastructure have been torn apart. Thousands of families are displaced, hungry, sick, and desperate. In this environment, the very idea of diplomacy can feel distant, yet several factors have aligned to push talks forward. Mediators from Egypt, Qatar, the United Nations, and other regional actors have intensified shuttle diplomacy. Behind closed doors, tentative agreements over humanitarian pauses, safe corridors, and hostage exchanges are being negotiated. Many negotiators and analysts now believe that we have edged into a phase of deal readiness, where the frameworks of agreement are being refined, not just proposed from scratch. But one point remains non-negotiable for many observers: bombing must stop. Without cessation of hostilities, aid cannot move, civilians cannot breathe, and trust cannot take root. Israel's military retains the position that its bombing campaign is necessary to degrade Hamas capabilities, destroy tunnels and weapons depots, and pressure the group into further concessions. Israeli leadership contends that indiscriminate pauses or moratoriums would allow Hamas to regroup, rearm, and pose renewed threats. These claims carry weight among Israel's coalition members and military planners who insist that softness at this stage could invite renewed attacks. Yet the humanitarian argument is equally powerful. With every strike, the space for negotiation narrows. Aid trucks are delayed or turned back. Medical facilities fail under bombardment and resource constraints. Civilians caught between militant front lines and air assaults suffer the worst of both worlds. Many inside Gaza have said that even a few hours of bombing cessation would make critical difference. You can repair roads, shift supplies, evacuate the injured, resupply hospitals. Diplomats and aid agencies have emphasized repeatedly that real peace begins with silence in the skies. In recent days, small precedents have appeared. Some neighborhoods in northern Gaza have seen fewer air raids. Limited truce windows were honored in certain sectors. Aid convoys have been granted passage under fragile temporary agreements. These modest openings encourage belief among negotiators that a larger ceasefire is possible if bombing pauses broadly. The technical challenges, however, are immense. Any cessation must be verifiable. Observers are discussing mechanisms: joint monitoring by UN International Committee of the Red Cross and perhaps third-party nations. Safe zones must be agreed upon, routes cleared of debris, military positions delineated, no strike lists drawn. Hostage sites would need protection. These protocols must be enforceable and transparent. Without them, one side might resume attacks and blame the other, collapsing the truce. Politics complicates everything. In Israel, coalition factions demand military strength. Some ministers see any truce as weakness. Others, under domestic pressure and international scrutiny, urge restraint. The government must balance security demands, political survival, and global image. On the Palestinian side, Hamas and other factions are under pressure from their constituencies to protect civilians and leverage political legitimacy. Any misstep is exposed. Externally, the United States, European powers, and Arab states have matched escalating diplomatic intensity. Washington, while keen to maintain strategic support for Israel, has increasingly called publicly for hostilities to end and humanitarian access to open. European capitals have warned that continued bombing undermines long-term stability in the region. Arab nations are mobilizing diplomatic support and asking for enforcement mechanisms to accompany any agreement. One possible scenario now under consideration is a phased framework. The first phase requires a total ceasefire, no air raids, artillery, shelling. In return, limited hostage releases and some prisoner exchanges would occur. The second phase might permit limited southern or border security operations under tight rules. The third could gradually expand reconstruction and movement under monitored zones. But the crux remains: without the first phase, stopping the bombing, none of the rest can function. On the ground in Gaza, the public mood is fragile. Many families cling to hope that a deal might deliver respite. Some displaced families have returned temporarily to damaged homes when bombing eased. Medical staff, volunteer groups, and ordinary civilians are echoing the same plea: stop the bombing, let us breathe, let us help ourselves. But deep skepticism remains. Past ceasefires unraveled quickly, and promises were broken. Trust must be rebuilt with visible action, not just words. As talks proceed, key pressure points will include securing immediate humanitarian corridors, ensuring fuel and medical supply deliveries, defining protected zones, determining who monitors compliance, and making sure that the ceasefire includes both aerial and ground operations. If any of these fail, the fragile truce could collapse. The coming 48 hours will be critical. Will Israel agree to pause its strikes nationwide? Will Hamas commit to restraint in response? Will mediators push hard for linked exchanges and oversight? Will international pressure from UN, US, Arab states tip the balance? And will ceasefires finally shift from temporary pauses to sustainable peace? This is the moment where momentum can either solidify into a real ceasefire or slip back into renewed conflict. For Gaza's civilians, every hour counts. The skies must quiet first. Only then can negotiations have breathing room. The story now hinges not just on diplomacy, but on silence in the skies.